Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, I'm coming to you from the UK, and today is Thursday again. It's Thursday, the 23rd of May 2024. I'm so glad you're joining me today to talk about some knitting and crochet. It's going to be another brief episode just because we're busy and I'm recording this on a late lunch break. Because it turns out that's really useful at the moment. Whenever my son is home, it's craziness essentially. So I found it quite nice to record on a Thursday if I can fit it into my schedule, which works really well today. So here we go. So I'm going to be talking about some works in progress, finished objects. Do I have some finished objects? I do, but I didn't bring them. Let me pause for a second. So you may remember, I think last week I had 4 sock works in progress, which is kind of crazy. I have finished one, I've also started a new one, but let me explain. So first up, I finished these socks. You may remember, this is the first one. This is yarn from Schoppel. This is one of their Wunderklecks colorways. They're really strange. I reckon they are dyed as sock blanks, and yeah, honestly, I don't think this is very pretty, but it's my second time buying and using this yarn. I bought 2 balls of this in Germany around Christmas 2022. And so the first pair of socks I made for my husband, they're sort of similarly not pretty, I would say. But yeah, so I bought a pink ball of yarn. I knew there was going to be some green in it, but this is sort of what it looked like on the outside. And then I finished the second sock and it's completely blue and green, which I don't know. I mean, obviously this is just a matter of taste and personal preference. I do like non-matching socks. I do like crazy socks. I do think these are pretty ugly, but I have finished them. So this is the weirdest pair I've knit in a long time. But they're done. They're socks for me. I would want to gift them, but I'm not sure if anyone wants these. So they may just be for me. But they're just plain vanilla socks. So yeah, 1 pair of socks off my needles. And if you remember, I had a whole host of socks, and my idea was to get most of them either finished or close to being finished, because summer sock camp run by the Crazy Sock Lady is starting tomorrow, so I can finish socks then and they'll count towards that. And no, I'm not sponsored. I'm just good at setting myself very random goals. So let's look at the socks that I also had on my needles. You may remember I was knitting these socks before we went on holiday. Essentially, I just wanted to knit with this mini that never shows up. It looks white, but it's beautiful. It's like lilac-y with neon yellow and pink speckles. It's from the Indie Yarn Club here in the UK. So I wanted to knit a pair of socks around that, but I only had 20 grams of this. So I paired it with this, which is Felt Fusion, one of her very old colorways. I think it was part of a fade set, also in a high twist sort of sock yarn base. And then I used this blue, which is from a German indie dyer. I don't remember where from, for the cuffs, and I was going to use it for the toes. So I ran out of the white yarn, as you can see, and I just continued with the purple, which I think is fine. And I did the heel in the purple as well. And then I couldn't find the blue yarn for the toes. So I was starting to freak out today because I've been looking for it for 2 days. And I was thinking maybe I just need to do a neon yellow heel, which I do have a neon yellow mini, but I didn't really want to crack into it. And then I just found this again. So these socks are ready for the toes. I've literally knit 1 round of the blue, and I am knitting them concurrently. So the second sock is also ready for the toe, which means this pair is close to being finished. So that is 1 sock whip that's still on the needles, but could be finished very quickly. I also, and I'll just show this very briefly, I still have this sock whip, which is also done, except that it needs heels. So another sock camp project for me to finish For this one, I do have the contrasting yarn. This is Filcolana Alweta, and this is Fab Funky Fibers here in the UK. So 2 pairs of socks that are close to being finished. And then the other one that I had left over as a whip is this. And I have finished the first sock since speaking to you last. I'm not sure if it's going to show up, but this is a free pattern, a German pattern called Sockengerippe by Sprottenpaula. Sorry to all the non-German speaking viewers, but I will try to link it in my Ravelry, and it links to a blog, and the blog essentially has the chart. It's just knits and pearls, so even if you don't speak German, it is very basic and simple to understand. And yeah, I will be honest, I love the texture of this, but I don't enjoy knitting these, which is why I'm sort of slow. But I did start the second sock, and my idea yesterday was to knit 1 repeat, which I think is 18 rows every day. But yeah, this is the only sock whip that I'm not excited about. I do love the yarn though. This yarn is again another very old German stash yarn, because I'm trying to work through my really old sock yarn. This is from Involviert on a high twist, I think merino and nylon base, and I think it's very, very pretty. I should also quickly mention what I'm wearing, by the way. I am wearing my mini mock neck tank. I'm wearing it for the first time. I knit this out of Knit Picks palette a while ago, and it fits pretty well, but I'm not sure if I want to make more of these. I'm not sure if I feel super comfortable with it, but it is, I like the color. Of course I like the color. And yeah, I'm wearing it, so there we go. It does fit. I knit it with less negative ease than the pattern, but it's still pretty tight fitting. So it works, but it's not sort of the cool accessory that I wanted, which is entirely my fault in terms of pattern choice. But I'm wearing it, so there we go. So moving on to my latest whip. Yes, I cast on another sock because I was convincing my friend Robin to cast on socks, and then, yeah, it happened. So I haven't knit very much on this. I basically forced myself to stop after knitting the cuff. I was gonna take this, I did take this as train knitting on my commute on Tuesday, but then I was so tired. On the way in, I was standing in the train and holding on for dear life, so I was not knitting. And on the way back, I was so tired, I couldn't knit. But this is really pretty. This yarn I bought at the Woolen Garden City Yarn Festival, which ran for the first time in Welland Garden City, which is just around the corner from here, this year, which is a free little yarn event. And the yarn is a sparkly base. I didn't necessarily want the sparkle yarn, but I really fell in love with this multi-colored yarn color. This is from Under the Olive Tree in her Summer Bloom colorway. Hand dyed in Cambridgeshire, which is around the corner again. So yeah, I like it. As you can tell, I've done a 1x1 ribbed cuff, and now I'm just going to knit a stockinette sock. So yeah, that is my latest whip, and I also have some crochet to show you. So you may remember last week I showed you my blanket, which is basically a carbon copy of Naughty Crow Crochet. She has I think she calls it her retro stripe sunburst granny square blanket, something like that. And I'm essentially following exactly what she did. So I purchased the same yarn because I fell in love with it. This is Red Heart Super Saver in the colorway Retro Stripe. And this is Red Heart Super Saver in the colorway Erin, which comes in these massive yarn cakes. I think you're supposed to have 8 of this and 4 or 5 of this. I purchased 6 of this, and I feel like it's going to be way too much anyways, because I can get around 9 squares out of the multicolored one, and I bought 3 of the Erin, which I feel like I'm running out of this faster, so we will see, but I can always buy more. And I showed last week you do these circles So the yarn basically does all the work for you. And then you join them into squares, and then you join the squares into a blanket. So this looks it's still a bit bobbly. I tried blocking them on a granny square blocking thing, and it didn't, I mean, it looked nice, but it didn't massively help. And obviously it just adds another step. So once I saw that it didn't make a massive difference, I went back to just crocheting the squares and joining as I go, just because it needs to be easy. And I think once it's all in a blanket, I feel like I'm not showing it off very well, but it's going to be beautiful. I think it's going to be fine. And I can just block the final blanket, and yeah. So I have done a fair bit of work on this, and it's very intuitive, which is really fun. So I've managed to memorize the entire blanket, the entire sort of step sequence, and I've also figured out a way of joining that works for me. So I am using she's using like a braided join, which it's just a slight difference. It's not very complicated, but it does look really nice. However, I think she joins them all in one go, which I don't enjoy. So I'm just joining a couple as I go. And yeah, so I have made some progress on this. I also have been working a little bit on my pastel granny square, just because I needed something a bit softer and easier to work with. I find the Red Heart super soft. It's fine. And we've gone very dark. It's fine, but it's also quite thick, and I don't want to say rough. It's fine. I don't mind the yarn, but I'm finding it a bit more tiring to work with. I think also because you need a bigger hook, and it's just a bit more of a project. Whereas this is it light decay weight? It's a bit softer. It's more of like I feel like the acrylic you get in the UK is softer. Sometimes it can be squeakier, which I don't like, but this is very easy to work with, and obviously it's a very simple pattern. So I have been working on my giant granny square, which the yarn for this is not sponsored. It is from Puff Flower Crochet, and it comes in these massive cakes, and you can just work from them. She's done all the work for you in terms of knotting them all together. And as you can see, the stripe width pretty much stays the same. So it's pretty clever, and I just really enjoy working on it. It's just very, very simple. So I've done a couple of rounds on this as well. Yeah, so that is what I have been working on. I haven't really worked on any of my garments. I've done a bit on my 2 shawls. I have 3 shawl whips, can you believe it? I've worked on 2 of them, but not enough to really warrant showing it to you. Sorry, I have allergies as well, so I'm feeling a bit sniffly, but we'll just move on. I got myself another birthday gift. Well, my parents got me this because I have been crocheting for a while now, and I sort of use whatever crochet hook I can find. You may remember that I quite enjoy the Knit Pro ones. They're like the ones with the plastic handles. They're pretty good. And I also have a whole set of needles that I think they're called infinity crochet hooks. And I just use them because I got the whole set for free when ordering something on some Black Friday sale, I think last year or the year before. So they're not necessarily my favorite needle to work with. It's just sort of, I've been working with what I have. Every now and then I would maybe purchase a single hook, but I haven't really invested in anything. But I did notice, especially now that I'm working more with acrylics as well, that I enjoy the tulip crochet hooks the most. So I have one of the red tulip Etimo crochet hooks. Sorry, sneeze break. And for my birthday, I decided to finally get myself a set because I am crocheting a fair amount and I have lots of projects going on at the same time. So yeah, I got myself this set, again, not sponsored. I do like the red ones the best, just in terms of, like, they're just pretty. I think they have a pink and a black set, and I think they do the same thing. I just got this one because I like the color. There are the tiny sizes I put in the back because I don't see myself using the tiny sizes for a while, but I have them. So yeah, and I just remembered I have a whole big FO to show you in terms of crochet as well. So I'm gonna pause again. This is going to be the episode with all the pauses and show you my large crochet FO. Ta-da! How could I forget this? I don't know. What is this, you may ask? This used to be a blanket whip of mine. I've been seeing lots of people over the last couple of months making crochet cushions, where essentially you just make a granny square and then you fold it over and seam it shut, and then you have a beautiful cushion cover. So I've been thinking about that for a while, and as you may know, I have quite a few languishing blanket whips, which I did an episode about a while ago, so if I find it, I'll link it. I have finished one really old languishing blanket whip this year already. Maybe two. I finished the Battenberg blanket and turned it into a baby blanket for my friend. I feel like I finished something else and I can't remember it. And yeah, I had this. This was a blanket, a giant granny square out of Filcolana Pernia, which is one of my favorite yarns, despite me rarely working with it. It's just a matter of not having the time to work with all the yarn that I want to work with. But I really like it. I use that to make my first half and half wrap. And while it's like a pretty woolly, non-superwash yarn, it becomes really soft with use. So I have this blanket. It was quite big, but I didn't want to make a baby blanket. Because I did want this for myself, and it's not a superwash yarn, and I wouldn't give a non-superwash item to friends unless I knew they were the sort of hand washing people. And even I knit non-superwash stuff for my baby, and then I just felted it all, because beforehand you think, oh yeah, I can just wash it all, it'll be easy, I know how to hand wash wool, and then you have a newborn and things go crazy, and yeah, all of that goes out of the window. So I didn't want to turn it into a blanket, a baby blanket. I didn't want to gift it, but I also knew that finishing it, because this is like a sport weight yarn, it felt quite thin to work with. It was going to need a lot of work, and I kind of didn't want to do that. Like, it wasn't the sort of project where you just sit down for a couple of days or whatever and then it's done. So I was like, what if I turn this into a cushion? And it turns out it worked perfectly. So just by chance, the measurements were pretty good, and I already had some 50 by 50 centimeters or 20-inch cushion inserts, because I was going to make either the Stella Quilt cushions by Laura Penrose, or I have her Sweet Shop blanket, which I could very easily turn into a cushion cover as well. But yeah, I had 3 cushion covers, so I used this and I just crocheted it all shut. So basically you can use it from both sides. I'm not sure which side I prefer. I think this is really pretty as well with the cross. I just basically joined them in the middle, like folded it over, joined it in the middle, and then I tried different ways of joining it. And in the end, what I liked best in terms of look and feel and just also practicability was to do like a chain 3, slip 1 into the gap, and I keep going like chain 3, slip 1, chain 3, slip 1. So I crocheted it all together, and I think it is beautiful. I love it so much, and it's already living in our conservatory, which is our dining room. We have one of those big IKEA chairs in white, and this is on top of it, and it is so squishy, and like it just feels warm when you're touching it, because it is 100% wool, and I love it. So this is done, and I am obsessed with it, and I'm also so excited to have another blanket whip out of stash. It does mean I have a lot of leftovers in different colors of this yarn, but I love this yarn, so I can make other projects and color work and gifts and anything with this. So I am not mad about having a lot of yarn in different colors of this brand. So yeah, another big crochet finished object. So yeah, that is officially basically what I have been working on, and I have shown you my birthday present, my crochet hook birthday present, which has me very excited. So I think that's it in terms of all of the yarny content. If you're only here for that, I will talk to you next week. If you do want to stick around for some quick live talk, yeah, it's just been busy. You may remember we went on holiday and then I got sick and I still had to go back to work because I just missed 2 weeks of work. So I wasn't going to take off work immediately again. But we've sort of gone through all of that, which is good. My son is a little bit under the weather, so we'll see what happens with that. But luckily he could go into nursery today. I've been working a lot, trying to catch up on everything. And my parents are currently here. So we saw them Tuesday and yesterday. Today I'm working. And then we're going to spend part of the weekend with them. But luckily it is a bank holiday weekend. It's going to be a bank holiday weekend here in the UK, which I completely missed with everything going on. So that was a nice surprise to find out that we're going to have a long weekend and hopefully I can get lots and lots of crafting done. Because I just feel I've been like a headless chicken. I've just been running around a lot. And I can't wait for all the craziness to die down a little bit and I just want to sit and knit. I have ordered a lot of new spinning fiber, not the fancy hand-dyed stuff, but I've ordered some Shetland bats in different colors to make a 2-ply sweater spin. I've also ordered Corriedale in different colors to make, again, a sweater spin. So I want to spin 200, I think, grams of white Corriedale, or like natural fawn color Corriedale. And then I bought this color pack in different earthy shades. I think it's like 25 grams per color. So I want to spin all of that, and then I can do like probably like a stripy handspun sweater, which I think would be amazing. And all of that I want to spin in long draw because I have been obsessed with spinning long draw. And it makes much more of a yarn that I enjoy working with than a lot of the previous yarn that I've spun. Because you may remember, if you've been here around here for a long time, I have spun for sweaters before, but none of them I've really enjoyed knitting up. I do have a full, like, finished sweater quantity of handspun John Arban yarn, but yeah, I don't really enjoy. I mean, it's fine, but do I want to knit a massive sweater out of it? I'm not sure. And I've donated some of my handspun sweater quantities as well. But I'm hoping, because I've been working more with my handspun recently, just to show you an example, I'm knitting this shawl out of a gradient that I've spun. And I'm enjoying my recent handspun a lot more. So I'm thinking if I spin it woolen, A, it'll be much quicker to spin. And B, because it'll be woolen spun, it'll be lighter, it'll be bouncier, it'll be easier for me to work with. So hopefully that'll work. I'm not sure why I'm gearing up to make 2 sweater projects on my e-spinner, but it's happening. So yeah, I just need to find the time to do it. But I'm sort of thinking, because at some point it has to get warm here in the UK as well. And I could use the summer to spin my sweater quantities and then knit them in autumn or winter. So that could be quite nice. So we'll see if that happens. And of course, I have all the socks planned and everything else. I did finally wind up the yarn, or more yarn, for my handspun Strangeberry sweater that I'm knitting on at the moment today. Haven't touched the sweater in 4 weeks, but at least the yarn is now wound, so I can continue on Body Island whenever I get around to that. So yeah, sorry, this was a very roundabout episode, but I just wanted to give you a quick update, and yeah, you can see my mind is just going like this. So I'm gonna go back to work, try to finish up in time so I can pick up my son and then hopefully not have too much after that. If you have a long weekend coming up, I hope you have a lovely bank holiday weekend here in the UK, despite the weather forecast being awful again. And otherwise, wherever you are in the world, I hope you are safe and healthy, and I hope you have some yarn to play with. Do let me know what you're working on, and I will talk to you again very soon. Thank you for watching. Happy knitting. Bye!